Hello everyone, welcome to week 2 of LITR233. I loved meeting all of you last week and I'm glad you decided to remain in the course. Now we are at week 2 of this class. This week you only have one real assignment due, which includes the readings, of course. You have a PowerPoint presentation due. Now let's take a look at the directions. This is what I'm looking for with this PowerPoint. First, very important, do not use AI. I do check for that heavily in this assignment. Don't use it, just use your own knowledge. You got this, you don't need to consult outside sources beyond the literature. So you have three topics that you need to focus on in this PowerPoint. First, you want to choose one of these below assignments to discuss how it discusses or focuses on the Enlightenment era. Then for topic 2, you need to show how one of the readings focuses on the realism and or modern era. And then number 3, you want to find a work that discusses societal issues. Now, the work of literature is the primary part of the exercise. What am I looking for? I am looking for you to prove to me that you have read the literature. That's the main part of the course. Just do the readings. And really, there isn't a ton of reading this week, and I'm going to show you how. But for each topic, I want it to be 200 to 300 words. I don't want you to go crazy with the wording. I just want you to keep it within that range. I don't grade you on how much you put in. I grade you on how you show that you've read the lesson and you have read the readings. Okay? So like it says right here, make sure to demonstrate that you have read the assigned literature. Okay? And note this, each topic should be on a different work. So don't use the Declaration of Independence for each of the topics. You got to choose new ones for each of the works. Okay, so let's go back to the main content. And here's what I want you to focus on this week. Okay, so obviously you want to click on the learning material. And here are the readings. I want you to understand that I am not expecting you to focus on the entire novel Maggie or the entire Zola work as well. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the French. I want you to only focus on chapter 1 of both works. So let me show you. For Maggie, the Girl in the Streets, that means you only focus on this first chapter. And really, if you look at it, it is super short, okay? That same holds true for this Zola work. Only focus on chapter 1. Again, even though it seems super long, it is not. And my clock is ringing in the background. It's my cuckoo clock. But anyway, I only want you to focus on chapter 1. For Prairie Spring, it's just one little poem. For Ezra Pound, his works are very, very short. So let's look at In the Station of the Metro. If it will pull up for me, there it is. Look how short it is. Well, actually, it doesn't show you here. Let me see if it will show you. That's it. That's all the poem is. I think you can handle that. So, and then The Dead is a little longer, but it's a great short story. So if you choose to write about that, there's a lot going on there, and giving you a hint, it works really, really well with the modern era. So again, the readings aren't that long. I want you to read the works because this is, remember, a literature course. So of course you're going to read some literature. So this week you're going to focus on some of the authors that you'll be reading. One is Emile Zola, then Stephen Crane, and Willa Cather. They are part of the realism era, and basically it just means the late 19th century shows, and the beginning of the 20th really, focuses on literature that isn't wild or a lot of fantasy or satirical like we saw in Gulliver's Travels. Instead, it's focusing on realistic issues that people were facing. And most of the time, especially with Zola and Crane, it focuses on urban life, although Willa Cather also focuses on some of the regions in the Midwest. For example, the Dust Bowl. And then this just gives you some of the other parts of the realism era in terms of the media. These are images from Jacob Riis, and he photographed images of people within these urban areas that lived in the tenement houses in New York City. I only could put the ones that were open source, but if you Google his images, you'll see that it's just horrific, some of the ways people had to read during this time period. And then later on in the lesson, you'll learn about some of the philosophies that came out during the modernism era. And it's important for you to get an idea of this era because you'll see in later readings that a lot of the works from some of the other countries that we'll be discussing, especially those who are colonized, kind of react to this belief that, especially with the Enlightenment era, where everything is kind of on an upward trajectory, and also with modernism, where focuses on the advent of technology and how that's changing the world around, and also issues facing those who experience war. Generally, those issues were seen through white Europeans, and so you're going to see a lot of reactions with that by the colonized later on this course as well. So it's good to get a basic idea of what these ideas are from Europeans during the 20th century. So when you read some of these works this week, and unfortunately I don't have a lot from Eliot or anything from Eliot, but I do have James Joyce, and you'll see a little bit of the idea of the lost generation. This is a very important term because you'll see it within Ernest Hemingway's work, and you'll also see it in Fitzgerald's, although we're not reading those works. It's basically the effects of World War I on a population. They're lost. They don't know what the purpose is in life. And you will also see this in James Joyce's work, The Dead. And so that's basically what I was just talking about, the effects of World War I and how that affected global literature. You'll see it this week through the eyes of the Europeans. Later on, you'll see how this also affected other countries and cultures. And so the next part is fragmentation. Basically, you see this in a lot of the artwork of the time periods where things kind of weren't as realistic as they were in the realism era. It's kind of like, just like the lost generation felt lost and didn't understand the meaning of life, there's also a feeling that life is sort of fragmented and didn't always make sense. And it's also the modernism era also played around with language, with art. And you'll definitely see that with in a station of the Metro. You'll see that in Ezra Pound's work in general. So it's also not only dealing with the lost generation, but it also has a lot of creativity going on as well, which is different than the realism era, which is something we also discuss about this week. Okay, and so basically here are just some of the notable writers that we'll be focusing on. And finally, you get your conclusion. So this week you do not have a discussion. You're primarily focusing on the PowerPoint, but I want to let you know that I am here to help you. I'm not here to just give grades. I actually really like it when students talk to me. So just post here if you ever have a question or anything. I do check there every day, but if you want to use the @ sign and my name, that will call my attention to it right here. Okay. But in general, just post there. I'll see it. I hope you guys have a great week. I know this was a really short lesson, but hopefully it helped you a little bit. And I shall see you online. Bye.